All right, so we are recording now. So again, happy Financial Literacy Month. I just told you the events. We've also got Saturday. We've also got, the NGPF virtual conference. I know several of you on here have attended quite a bit of their PD, so you know how good it is. But they do have a Saturday virtual conference, it's like 6 hours long, but you come and go as you please. But we got the link there for you if you're interested. So you can, I think there's five or six different sessions with 3 sessions to pick for during each hour. Each one's an hour. We set it up in e-learning for you so that you can get points for it. So if that's something, I know I always get a lot of questions often, that especially people who are getting ready to recertify that are always looking for points. It's an easy way to get points. All you have to do is attend and then upload the certificates for the sessions that you attend. And you can get up to, do you remember how many points it was, Brian?
Yeah, 10 points.
There you go. Oh, Hamilton, very nice.
Very nice.
Much more entertaining. Yes, I saw Hamilton several years ago. It's fantastic. So you're excused, Melanie. That's a great excuse. So yeah, if you're not, attending Hamilton, feel free to look into it. But again, it's a Saturday. We don't push it that hard because we know it's a Saturday and it's difficult, as it should be, to get teachers to attend things on Saturday. So that's the 2 events you got coming up for this week. We've also been pushing this out a lot. I know some of you on here, because I see the names, have done these. But these are, again, through NGPF, the on-demand modules. We made 20 of them. They've got many more than 20, but we made 20 of them. We aligned them with our new standards, and we made 20 of them available for you. It's built, again, in e-learning. Again, all you have to do is complete them. They're an hour each, or an hour-ish. You can probably even complete them faster. And then just upload the certificate through e-learning, and you can get 2 points per module that you upload. So there's 20 of them, you get up to 40 in service credit points if you do 20. We have different sessions. The current session, I think, stops May 17th-ish. Pretty sure that's the date, though. So if you've done any recently, they need to be uploaded. Stuff needs to be uploaded by May 17th. That's the day the course closes on. And then we will open up a summer session as well. So we need to close it out so we can get people their points. That's why we have to have different sessions. And then there'll be another session in the fall again. We'll open it up in the fall again. So that's not going anywhere. And if you're a teacher of personal finance or are about to be or have been a teacher of personal finance, you can also earn a stipend for up to 10 of them for up to $250. So we've had, we're up to roughly 200 modules that have been completed now by our teachers, which is excellent. This has only been going on for about 2.5 months or so. So very pleased with that. Oh, there's the on-demand modules that are currently available. Those will also be the modules available in the summertime. We will change it up a little bit come the fall time. So if you're someone who's already done 20 of them and you've maxed them out, which we have several who have, be on the lookout next fall, because there will be an additional few that you will also be able to complete. And then let's see, you're here at that one. I already told you the virtual conference. And then there's our annual special event with the FAU Center for Economic Education. That's April 18th. They have this one big event where they always bring in a national speaker. This year it's William Wallstead, who's a very well-known economist. He also does research on financial education out of the University of Nebraska. So, you want to come hear him speak. They're also giving out the real awards, which I think we have a few people on here who are getting real awards, which is the Regional Economic Educators in Leadership, I think is the awards. So if you can attend that, please do. There's a nice dinner involved always with that one, and it's just good collegiality at that one, just celebrating the year. All right, so I'm just going to quickly talk to you why we put together these newsletters, and then I'll turn it over to Brian, and he'll show you the different features. So first off, if you weren't on earlier, we were talking to Melanie a little bit about these parent newsletters. This is actually something I started to do about 5 years ago. With S'more. I don't know if you've ever heard of S'more before. It's a parent newsletter digital program, and that I just, time constraints and whatnot, never completed. Since then, NGPF came out with parent newsletters, which were great. And then those are Google Docs, so much easier for us to work with and free. So what we have done, we're not just releasing the NGPF ones. We took the NGPF ones and we think greatly enhanced them. We put on a lot more activities in them of ways that, that students and teachers or students and parents can interact. We put on a lot of local information into them that parents can access, because we know that financial education starts at home. And a lot of reasons it doesn't happen at home is because the parents struggle and are uncomfortable with personal finance topics. So we're trying to break down those barriers. So I wanted to show you a couple quick stats here, and first of all, we see over and over again that parents want financial education, especially for the kids, not just for the kids, but also for themselves, right? So this is these quick stats I show you. About 40% of parents, this is a survey from 2023, so this is recent data. They're concerned that their parents don't understand the value of money. I think anybody with kids probably shares that concern on this call. It's difficult, especially in South Florida, it's difficult. And I say it a lot, but we're surrounded by great wealth in South Florida and great poverty. So a lot of times the kids really don't understand much about how to manage money. They don't understand why they have to manage money. They don't understand how a credit card works. They don't understand, as you get to high school, they don't understand how student loans work. They don't understand how to buy a car. They don't understand how to pay taxes on their income. A lot of simple things that they don't understand. And at that same survey, about over 80% of the parents said that financial education starts at the house, right? They understood that. They said, yeah, it's not the school's sole responsibility to teach kids money. It's really the parents' responsibility, right? Yet, we see in a separate survey that a vast majority of parents are not doing it. So they think that it starts at home, but a vast majority, you see only 15% of parents report that they speak to their kids once a week about it. And 31% of parents said they'd never at all spoken to their kids ever once about money. And so that's one of the reasons for these newsletters. It's an on-ramp to those discussions. Like I said, we're trying to break down those barriers. We're trying to get kids and parents talking about money at the dinner table. Right? Those should be open and honest conversations. And then here's just the statistics. I've shown this before in other presentations. You may have seen it, but I always enjoy seeing this because this was in our county when recently, about a year or a year and a half ago, when our district was rewriting the strategic theme. It asked these questions of parents, and it also asked them of students. But of parents, they asked them just sort of, what is your thought about academics in terms of what the district's doing? And it was open-ended. Right. And then the parents could see the comments that other parents made and could then could give it a star, like I think it was up to 5 stars down to 1 star. And so here was the actual top rated comment of that, what they called a thought exchange. And you can see, we need education classes of personal finance as mandatory courses. We teach about history and English, but not personal finance. So we have those mandatory courses now, as you know. But I just wanted to show you that parents do want financial education for their kids. It is a topic that they are interested in. And then finally, we've seen some recent studies come out that show that not only do the kids benefit greatly from financial education, the parents also benefit from their kids taking financial education courses. Right? We call those the spillover effects. Right? Presumably, it's because the kids are coming home and talking about it. Right? The kids are coming home and saying, hey, I want to open a bank account. Hey, I need to learn more about this credit card. And so what we refer to, I got to highlight that it's a nice big word there, the intergenerational spillover effects, right? That means a spillover that spills up from the kid up to the parents. We've seen that. This was actually a study done in Peru, but it was a pretty large scale study. And even more importantly, it showed that the spillover effects were more pronounced from parents in poor households. All right, and you see there the default probability decreased by 26%, right, and their credit scores increased, right. And interestingly, I wanted to note this because this was the other major find of the study, was that it was also a lot more pronounced of parents of daughters. Now, they don't provide reasons in the study why, all right, but as a father of 2 daughters and 0 sons, I found that especially interesting. And it was the most pronounced there. Actually, you see a 6.7% credit increase and a 28% reduction in the amount of loans that they have due. So those are the big reasons why we're doing these, is because we know the parents are interested in this. We know they're interested in their kids learning more about it. We know that the parents are struggling themselves with it, and we know that if the kids are learning it, they can then help their parents learn a little bit more about it. And so in these parent newsletters that you're getting ready to take a look at here, I'm going to give you the link here in a second so you can start diving into them. I want to first highlight that they are fully customizable. You do not have to use it. Like, yeah, we're going to give it to you in a fully finished form. You can use it like that. You don't have to, right? You're going to get both the Google Doc version of it and a PDF version of it. So I hope, us being a Google district, you know how to use Google Docs quite extensively. I know you do. You're going to have view-only access, so all you have to do is do the file, make a copy, and you can have your own copy to edit however you want. Put your own info in there. You can rebrand it to put your name on it, to put your school name on it. Do whatever you got to do to it. Obviously, it's all free. We're pushing it all out to you. It's all based, we did it specifically based on our new standards. So, everything, if your school administrators will especially like to see that. If they come asking you why you're doing it, say, oh, well, I'm just trying to, help my students learn the standards that they have to in this course. It really shows off the learning that the students are doing in your class. I know Brian did a lot of this customizable piece. You put in there a lot of the NGPF arcade games. We know a lot of you use them. Although I know Melanie, they're sometimes blocked. I know we sometimes have that issue. But a lot of those are linked in these newsletters so that your parents can, maybe their parents and students can play them together at home. How cool would that be? And then one of my favorite pieces is we focus on the parent's own personal finances. All right, I talked about that earlier. And we give a lot of, at the end of every single newsletter, there's local information of where can I go locally to get more information about maybe credit counseling, to get more information about investment products, right? To get more information about getting my credit score, right? Those are things focused specifically on the parents. So let's take a look, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brian here. So you now have this link there. I know you don't have the presentation, although I think Brian has linked the presentation in the chat. If you can pull up that presentation, you can pull up this link. That QR code also takes you directly to it. We did a shortened URL. That shortened URL also takes you directly to the folder that has all of the newsletters in them. So as you're pulling those newsletters up, you can start sort of looking at them at your own leisure. I am going to turn it over to Brian to talk about what's in every single unit newsletter. Oh, and I should highlight two quick things. One, there's 7 newsletters, 1 for each unit. Now, you may do different units. Again, this are the units that we suggest from the district level. Doesn't mean you have to follow it exactly, but we suggest 7 units. So we did 7 newsletters, 1 for every single unit. They are meant to be digital newsletters, right? Meaning there are lots of hyperlinks in there. We've talked about also potentially doing paper ones down the road, putting like the little shortened URLs in there so teachers can, so parents can get it on their own. But as of right now, we only have digital newsletters. And as of right now, they're only available in English. Right? So that is another thing we're going to work on with our multicultural department, is getting them translated to the different languages they need to get translated to. All right, so with that being said, I will stop talking for the remainder of the time and turn it over to Brian.
Well, we all know Aaron won't be done talking for the entire remainder of the time, but I went ahead and dropped the link to the actual newsletters in the chat. That's the shortened URL. Let's just take, it's 3:49. Let's take about 4 or 5 minutes, just turn to 3:50, and take a look at them. Bounce around, look at what they look like. They all are designed to be similar in appearance in terms of they have the same sections, which I will go over with you today, but they're designed to look the same, but in each one of those sections, there are unique resources and information available for each one of those, as Aaron described, as those 7 units that we're using the standards that are sort of set up in CPOMs to create those units. So take a few minutes, it's 3:50. At 3:55, we'll kind of check back. And what I ask that you do when you are in there looking at them is just think about a couple of things. And this is how we're going to kind of wrap things up when we get to the end of this, is how do you think is best to use these resources that are available in the newsletters themselves in the classroom, whether it's something you would use in your classroom, suggestions you could use or have for other teachers, how they could use it in their classroom. And this is the big one. And I like even though it's a small group, these names are very familiar to me. And I would love to get some feedback from you. And how do we get these in front of the parents? And I just want you to think about some ideas and that's really kind of where we'll end in terms of your part of this and what you'll be doing. But and Aaron mentioned it, and I'm sure you already know how to do this, but I just put it up here. I really want to focus on that customizable piece, is that these are fully customizable, and all you need to do is open the Google Doc, click File, make a copy, and it's saved right to your Google Drive, and you can make out any and all changes that you want from there. So yeah, just about 4 more minutes, and we'll go about 3:55. We're going to jump right back in. All right. So again, I'm going to briefly, and Aaron was giving me a hard time about starting all the way back at the title, but I went ahead and decided to do that anyway. But I actually spent quite a bit of time on coming up with these titles, and I also, of course, encourage you to change them and customize them best for you. But I kind of wanted to look for that hook, that sort of one sort of thing, and it's not one thing in any of these units either, but that one sort of thing that sort of grabs the attention. And here, this is an example from Unit 1. And it's going to focus on those core concepts that we're going to be learning in the units. You know, we're jumping ahead to learning about insurance or learning about investing or saving. The titles revolve around that. The descriptions themselves, these are right out of CPOMs, and that link that to CPOMs will bring you to the course descriptions. And it's right out of how CPOMs would describe each one of these individual units about what students are going to be learning. And I really wanted to focus on specifically what students would be doing. What are they going to be doing? What are they going to be understanding? So we know right away, right from the bat, and this is parents that are looking at this in theory, of what their students are going to be learning. And again, the links to CPOMs are there for you as well. Now, each unit, again, also based upon each one of the units has individual benchmarks that will go with each one of those units, really kind of set aside for each of the different standards that we have for Finland for 9 through 12. And I wanted to put within those expectations specific examples of what students are going to be learning about based on those benchmarks. So those clear, sort of down-to-earth, parent-friendly language of what are our students going to be learning about? What are they going to be hearing about at their dinner tables throughout the semester? Again, based on the specific benchmarks that are involved in each one of the individual standards that we have for financial literacy in 9 through 12. And that's what you'll see in those expectations. And at the end of each one of them, at the end of those expectations, I wanted to make sure that I also involve some suggestions of how parents can get involved in the student learning. You know, financial literacy is a very unique topic, and this is not to stand up on my soapbox and say how important only this topic is and nothing else is important. But no matter what student we're talking about here, they're going to have to understand their personal finances. And getting that conversation going with their parents. And we saw from the data up above that 82% of parents believe that that's where this sort of education comes from. That's where it should be coming from first and foremost. So I wanted to put some examples of what parents can do, how they can become involved in their students' learning for each one of the individual units. This part, and you see that, and I can't stress it enough, the customization piece, even though Aaron and I put a significant amount of time and effort putting these resources in there, we can't recreate what goes on in your classroom, what you use in your classroom, what you want to focus on in your classroom. So I really want to encourage that customization piece, especially here in this particular section, in our students learning in action. This is a great opportunity to post assignments and video clips or activities, whatever you might be doing in your classroom. Maybe in your classroom, the stock market challenge is a big part of what you do. This is a great place to put that. You can show parents what that actually looks like and what's going on in the classroom itself. But for what's there now, the non-edited version, the there for you, you're going to see interactive videos. And I focused a lot on a few different, most of these through NGPF for those interactive videos through Edpuzzle, which gives, and I kind of, and Aaron and I even had a little discussion about it. It was, wanted to know if I was putting the Edpuzzle ones on purpose. And I was. I wanted to encourage parents to interact with these and to sit down with their students and go through these video clips and answer those questions together. And there's that learning piece that can happen together. You know, student learning, it really is that adage, if it does take a village, from teachers to parents to what they're learning on, God help us all, the internet, of what they're going to learn about their personal finances. There's also included simulations, specifically tax simulations from Intuit through Everfi, where students can go through these limited. There are some limitations to those simulations about how they really, it's how the tax software works, but simulates how it would be if they were to file their own taxes. And I also, again, as Aaron had mentioned, the educational games from NGPF. And Melanie, I know, has pointed out that in some cases they don't work, and that can definitely be a frustration, especially if your whole lesson plan revolves around that, those educational games. But they will work in many cases. I don't want to know if I want to say most cases, or definitely don't want to say all cases, but they are there for you to utilize in your classroom and beyond. I've also included some. Oh, we got Shady Sam. Shady Sam is one of my favorites. It's a total throwback and shows my age of those video games from that era, two-dimensional stuff. I'm a big fan of Shady Sam, not necessarily Shady Sam himself, but the game that is Shady Sam. And I've also included just a handful. I didn't want to, I kind of got, it's a rabbit hole you can easily go down in adding classroom assignments, but I've got some examples, some of assignments that have been used, and I've used some of those assignments in my classroom. But again, want to come back to that customization part. This is a great place for you to put your lessons. One of the other PDs I had in February was I had asked teachers I wanted to know where you're getting your lessons from, of where you're getting your lessons from. And most teachers by far are writing their own lessons. They're taking that time. Oh, I got Melanie going, no, not me. I could relate to that. But many teachers, other than Melanie, were definitely stating how they were creating their own lesson plans. This is a great opportunity to post those lesson plans, so that just another potential view of that, all that work that you put in, and so you can show the parents what you're actually doing in those classrooms. Yep, and there's, yeah, absolutely. It's always from the top. It's creating their own, and that's encouraging, and I would love to see some of these as well. Okay, so also, and every one of these has a similar, if not really, it's not similar. It's exactly the same structure. Of it has these different sections. Talking about money, and as we saw from the data that Aaron posted early on, that is sort of in some households, and I know in my household, when I was growing up, money was not talked about. Financial stuff was not talked about in my household. I was kind of left to fend for myself, and I did, and I struggled quite a bit, especially in those early years, and I had to find out the hard way. I think a lot of it comes down to is a lot of people don't know how to start those conversations. So what we put into this section is a variety of different resources. What you'll see at the top, I think the only exception to this would be in the newsletter for Unit 1, Financial Attitudes and Behaviors. I've got just really a different link that sort of encourages that conversation. But here, for the remainder of them, you're going to see these at least 3, sometimes 2, maybe a little bit more straight up questions that you can, as suggestions that parents can utilize to start that conversation with their child. And just right down the line, like, these are examples of what they can do. Get that conversation going with children. Also within this section are often video activities. Sometimes there's lists, sometimes there's general information. I wanted to put as many in there in this particular section that would get the parents and children interacting with each other. So they are opening up these activities, opening up these assignments, opening up these lists. And I see the one on this particular page is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. There's a lot of good information at that particular website that parents and especially our high school students could really explore and get an idea of what jobs are available out there and kind of do that together. Sit down, ask questions, type in information in their search engine, and get more information about those different jobs and careers that are available for them moving forward. And the next piece on this on the conversation starters, and you'll see this one on every one of the newsletters, is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, has put together really an amazing list of topics and ways to talk about these different topics. And the link is right there, but talking about money choices, big and small, really is well done with lots of ancillary resources that parents and students can click on and learn more about not just these topics themselves, but how do you talk about them? How do you talk about a credit score? How do you talk about buying a car? How do you talk about that? Every parent, well, maybe not every parents, but parents' dread of how they're going to get that first apartment. When are they going to move out? What's that going to look like? And there are absolutely so many resources available from CFPB, and I want all 100% free. And I absolutely encourage you to utilize those. And you'll see that link on every one of the newsletters. This is another one, and I didn't put it up here in terms of being customized. But one of the things I know that you know on the ground in your classroom are the misconceptions and the myths that are going out there revolving around financial topics. I've picked one for each one of the different units that we have. I absolutely encourage you, and this would be a really good spot for you to put the myths that you hear your students talking about. I know one that's coming to mind about financial aid is that you can't get financial aid if your parents don't provide information. There's some truth to that, but still finding out the total truth and dispelling that myth is extremely important. And this is a great opportunity for you to, all those myths that you've heard your students talking about, you could easily make those changes and put that information here. And I tried, I think on most of them, especially probably on this one, it's not going to be, most of them will have references to research and data to back up those facts, to definitely get those. So I know I like it. And I'm sure you guys are all educated educators, that opinions are great and everyone's got one, especially about money. Remember when Bitcoin was being talked about, everybody knew exactly how rich they were going to become when it came to that. But opinions are great. Facts to back up those opinions, that it makes it even more powerful. It helps to reinforce those common feelings, those common thoughts. And this is the part that Aaron and I definitely have a very similar passion of, is really trying to reach out to parents to provide resources for them for their own financial well-being. There are so many, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit in finding the local links that we could find where people in our community, our parents of our students in our community, where they can go and find information about their personal finances right here in Florida, right here in Palm Beach County. So it's not just some abstract website that is, who knows where it's coming from or who's benefiting from the views that are going on to that website. These resources primarily in a major way are going to be focused on finding resources right here in Palm Beach County. That focus on locality and local resources was very important to us, and we wanted to make sure we added as many as we could. I'm sure we missed some, and I would love to hear and get links and suggestions from other resources that we may have missed that might to see us add to these, something that you could customize and add to yours when you utilize this in your own classrooms. Just some of them. I'm not going to read them all at you, but they're right there. These are just some about where can we go to get our taxes paid. Pretty relevant right now. I don't expect that this going to be going out this newsletter is going to be going out to parents right now, but I'm sure there are some parents out there that could benefit from the information that's available in these newsletters of how can I pay my income taxes. There's information there about getting education, continuing education as an adult, learning how to get a bank account. There's a large percentage of people that are unbanked, and the state of Florida is unfortunately highly represented in that. There's a large population in the state of Florida that is either underbanked or unbanked altogether. There's information here on how you can get a bank account here in the state of Florida. Information about investing, even specifics about how you can buy a house. Again, links to local information here and programs that are specifically available for people to get financing on buying a house here in the state of Florida, which we all know, especially those of you, if any of you out there in the market to buy a home, this is a very difficult market to do that in. And getting all the local information that you possibly can be extremely helpful to our parents and to anybody for that matter. This was a very important section for both Aaron and I to spend a lot of time back and forth in editing and getting those right resources in, because we really want these are parent newsletters. These are designed to go to them, and I want them. Yes, we want them to know what's happening in their classrooms. At the same time, we want to give them information about how they can increase their own financial well-being. All right, that's really all of the sections that we have, and they're pretty universal throughout the seven different newsletters. All right, so this is a small group, and this is not the first time that this is the first time. This is not the last time that we are going to address these resources, and this is sort of like kind of like a soft rollout, but I want to kind of pick your brains. We want to hear from you about really two things: about how can we best use these in the resources available in these newsletters, but more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but equally as importantly, is how we're going to get these in front of the parents. And I want you to kind of think about that. I'm gonna put a link in the chat to an activity. It's really just, I'll share it in a moment. And what I want you to do, if you could, is I want you to brainstorm some ideas of, and there's two tables, you'll see them in there. Ideas of how you could use these newsletters and the resources within them in the classroom. Maybe you wouldn't use these. Maybe you're thinking about using these. Maybe you use a different version of these. Maybe I don't know. I want to hear from you how you think it would be best to use these newsletters. And secondly, and I'm really hoping for some creativity, I even put it up there, Google Classroom and direct emailing to parents, I think, is a great place to start, a great sort of starting point, a launching point. But I would love to hear, and I would love to get some feedback on some ideas of, what are some other ideas of how we can get these in front of parents? How do we get these to the parents? So go ahead and click on that link. I can share this. Looks like you're all in there. Most of you are in there right now. Oh, jumping in as well.
Yeah, these are great suggestions already. Please keep adding. This is great. The first one, which says include them in SIS when communicating with parents. So that one I want to hear more about. So whoever wrote that one, can you unmute and explain how you would do that?
Well, with that one, if I'm not mistaken, you can first, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You can include attachments in SIS. Like, I constantly email parents about your child is failing, or your child's doing okay, your child is absent, and I can attach letters to it. So I can attach a PDF file to the emails to parents on SIS.
Because if there's one website I know parents are often checking out, is their children's grades in SIS, and that is a great way to get that to them. That's great.
And sorry, Caroline, I'm gonna keep asking that. Does that just go as an email to them, or is there like a page where they see? Like I know they can, because obviously I have kids in the system, so I can access SIS and I see what my kids are doing. But is there like a page within SIS where they can see those attachments, or it's just strictly email?
It is a page in SIS. They can see it. It shows for them as whatever they receive in communication. Like when students send me email through SIS, it's a page there, but it shows. But it's an email in the way, but it's also in SIS. I don't like.
I gotcha. And so you as a teacher, would you say that is your most commonly used way to communicate with parents?
I use SIS and Parent Link, but Parent Link is limited in that it's like Twitter. You can only use so many number of characters. You can't put you have a limit. But SIS is the best because there's no limitation of what I can put on SIS.
Okay.
That's a big one. That's like Aaron and I were talking about this the other day, and that we were, we between the two of us, we came up with Google Classroom and direct email. That's a good one. Like, and that's why I was excited about this feedback, and that's a good one right there.
And what is for any of the teachers on who can want to share, like what is your typical parental involvement with Google Classroom? Like, are they on it? Do they access it? Do they look at the assignments, or like how often do you find that your parents are using it?
I know my parents never look at Google Classroom.
But that's kind of what I thought.
My parents usually look at SIS first, and then if there's an issue on SIS, then they will go to Google Classroom. But usually SIS is their first form of contact, then email, or they message you through SIS.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Good question, Aaron. I'm glad. I was curious. I think I knew the answer to was going to be low parental involvement in Google Classroom, but I could dream. I'm allowed to dream.
But at least you can email them through there. So, they're still getting the email. I send the progress reports every Friday. I didn't know you could send an attachment through SIS. So I'm going to try that this week too.
So any other suggestions about how you could get this in front of parents, how you could use the resources or use the newsletters in the classroom? Even if you can't get them in front of the parents or, Google Classroom, now we got SIS, which is a great idea, Parent Link. But how do you think we could use it? I see a few here.
Yeah, I love the suggestion. Add a question that will be on the test, because that's the next question. Right, the next question is how do we get them to look at them, right? And so
I added both of those. One of them I thought maybe running a little contest, a question to parents or something about, even something as simple as at what age did you get your first credit card, and the first 5 parents to respond, send like all those little prizes that we picked up at the FCEE conference, even cute little pens that light up, have silly little contests, but at least you could see that parents, if they respond to you. And then I also liked at the bottom, some kind of short answer test question. And that way you can get the parent, hey, do you know this? Because your teacher says this is going to be on your test, and maybe it'll spark a conversation.
I love it. Yeah, anything we can do to incentivize sparking the conversation is a positive.
And if there's possible, like once a year, I believe it's once a year in the well, this is the second semester, we have a parent night, and the parents come after school with the kids. They actually, a lot of them come, and we get night school, people who attend night school to come to it also. And it's basically like they get different information on jobs, colleges, et cetera, and so forth. So that would be a great thing if we were able to talk to administration and implementing that into it at least once a year, because our parents actually do show up, and then we have people who come to night school that show up too.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, that's another thing down the road. We're looking to do a little bit more of those engagement nights after school. We've been talking about developing a sort of a family financial literacy night. We're going to sort of create that in the box sort of thing to push out to schools and say, here's what you can, because we know, because we've seen the same thing, that those, a lot of those, I've even presented at some of those nights before, and they get good engagement at those. So I like that idea.
So in general, and I know this is again it's kind of a soft rollout, small group, and we kind of breeze through some of this stuff pretty quickly. But any sort of general questions, suggestions, complaints? I guess you can save the complaints. Just kidding, of course. But feel free to raise your hand, shout it out, throw it in the text, in the chat. That would be great. Got Aaron contributing, and I do appreciate that. I was also, to that effect, I was also thinking, it's the same thing. The open houses in the beginning of the year. I know open houses are still. I know I've seen some parents, even when I was in the classroom, I would see some parents in there. It might be a good opportunity to get this in front of them. That one time you get to see them during the year, might not be a bad idea.
All right, so yeah, if you keep thinking of things, go ahead and put them in that Google Doc. Like I said, anything you can think of would be much appreciated. But we are down to the end now, so this was great. This was a simple hour. Like Brian said, we wanted to just sort of do a soft rollout of these, get some people using them, get some feedback on them. We realize, again, you might not use them this year, totally understandable, and that's okay. But as you start to dive into them a little bit, if you see anything that you can provide any feedback from or on, it would be much appreciated. We'll listen. We'll change these. The hope is that, we're trying to do these just to help your classroom. So let us know. Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate it. So just as a concluding thing here, we still have a few more events for Financial Literacy Month. Please, if you're able, join. We still have the teacher personal finance topics. We've done those a lot. So I know a lot of you have been to them a few times. You may not need to come back again, but we already did the introduction to 403Bs on April 3rd. We still have we're going to take a deeper look at investing within 403Bs on April 15th. So that's next week. That's virtual. And then I'm going to walk you through the Florida Retirement System, FRS. And we're going to do that in person on April 30th. So those three are designed just for you, just solely for your own personal finances. So if you come to any of those, that'd be great. Also coming up, we have our now 9th annual Financial Literacy Bootcamp. This will be the 9th year we've done this. If you don't know what it is, it's a 4-day event. It's 6.5 hours a day for 4 days. It's a really intensive dive into personal finance. We look at your standards. We look at we do a really deep dive into content, trying to get you to better understand the content. We look at some pedagogy things. We look at some digital programming, and we do some of the teacher personal finance stuff too to help you with your own personal finances. We do it all in that 4 days. So that'll be the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. That is live on e-learning right now. If you can sign up and are interested. You can both in service credit and a stipend. It's a $350 stipend that goes with that one, so it's nice. And then we've several times done these fin camps. These are full day PDs with NGPF. I believe it's Yaneli coming to do ours again. She did it at Boca High last year. For those who were able to attend, I'm pretty sure, not 100% sure, that she is also doing this one on July 18th. On July 18th, it will be at the Safe Schools Institute. That's also down in Boca Raton. That's a district property. If you don't know, it's on the campus of Don Estridge Middle School. Again, you can get both a stipend and in-service credit for attending that. So feel free to enroll for that. For this session, you also get a stipend, so I'll make sure I put that in for the hour. You can also earn in-service credits. It's not much. It's just 2 because we can only give you a seat time plus double for implementation. You would have to upload something to e-learning that shows you've done something we showed you with students. It's really simple. We're not hard graders, I promise you. And that's pretty much it. So from this point forward, we hope you have, I may not see some of you for the rest of the school year. I hope I do with some of our financial literacy stuff, our financial literacy month stuff. But if I don't, have a great closeout to the year. It's been a good year. Next year, as we get more and more financial literacy classes, we're gonna keep doing more and more financial literacy sessions. So be on the lookout as these next couple of years go on. It's really going to be an exciting couple of years because we're going to see a build up to this mandatory course. So otherwise, thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.